TSDR,
Another
Stock
tweet.
Talk
Oh yeah,
Weekly.
for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw out another tweet. I think Bitcoin baddies will be on here. I asked
Yep.
Peter to come on, so I'm hoping he'll be on too. I know. Are you a MFer fan for the day?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, those are my people. I support Taylor's pick. LTHM with Stock Talk Weekly, Airbnb for my boy TSDR. You already know how it is. We kind of run in the same circles, timeline wise. So, yeah, I talked to Taylor a little bit earlier about kind of the conditions of my poll, and I was like, hey, I'll retweet your poll if you retweet my poll. She's like, deal. So yeah, we've been talking.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Arc or Sark?
Am I what?
Arc, RK or Sark?
Oh boy. I voted for Sark. Not because not because of like Gergovin's original conditions when he put the tweet out, but just because of Gergovin. We've been friends for a really long time on here, and he told me that was his pick. So, and he voted for Mara, so I had to return the favor. But that's gonna be a close matchup between Ark and Sark.
I feel it. Okay, I see
Very
people
close.
starting to pile in now. I see Simon in the crowd. I see Dividend Seeker just came up. What's up, Dividend Seeker? Dividend Dollar.
How you doing?
I'm good. Long time no chat on Spaces. What's going on?
I know it's been a while. It's good to be back and chatting about stocks.
For sure. And that's the other side of the Mara matchup. So
yeah, it is.
That'll be.
This is the first time we've ever spoken. There's TSDR.
He didn't come up on my screen yet. Oh, now I see him.
What's
Cool.
up, Chad?
Yeah, Chad. What's going on?
Hey guys.
Are you in Miami right now?
I am. I'm
Nice.
having a blast here.
Very nice. Simon, how are you?
Hey, pretty good, guys. Calling in from Houston. It's getting to be a little warmer every day, so that means summer's coming for us. We're ready.
I hear you. Yeah, I'm excited to have escape the Northeast down to Miami. Thank God. Couldn't deal with the cold anymore, to be honest. Yeah, it's too much. Fake. What you're in Houston?
No,
right?
I'm in Kansas, on the Kansas side of KC.
Okay, got it. So you were just like visiting Matt, or he was visiting you?
Yeah, that was the second time in like a month that I had visited him. It's you guys are enjoying some heat down there. It actually snowed here this morning, believe it or not. So
Love it. Well, I think it's time to dive into the conversation here. We already have some speakers on. I think we're about to get ready. Simon, I know that you have a lot going on right now, so I kind of wanted to throw it to you first to kick us off here with a little bit about Trupanion. We could talk about the vote, the poll, and all that, and then we'll take it from there into some of these other matchups.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys, very much. I'm representing Trupanion, which is the 11 seed in the March Madness bracket, the Market Madness, so to speak. This is North America's largest independent provider of pet insurance, right? So there are 201 million domestic dogs and cats in North America. And of course, one of the kind of trends that's picking up is when you bring them to the vet, you don't want to pay out of pocket for the most expensive treatment, but you do want them to have the best standard of care. And so pet insurance is really, really catching on. Trupanion is one of the providers of that. Fantastic unit economics, not only really top line growth that we've seen with these guys, just kind of a steadily 30-40% growth in the number of pets that are insured, who are paying on subscription plans more and more, but it's very attractive unit economics. So this is a company that when you look at the lifetime value of the 60 some odd dollars that it's capturing per month per pet for its subscribers, and then you can compare that to a much, much lower acquisition cost of getting those new subscribers, you're actually seeing them make a lot of partnerships with Chewy's, with State Farm, with Aflac, with others out there of saying, hey, we've got all the actuarial tables built out. We know how to run an insurance business because we've done it for the last 20 years in representing pets. It's not as easy as it might seem. And in fact, they're working very, very close with vet clinics too, so that when there is a claim, when a vet does take care of a loved pet or something like that, and they have Trupanion insurance, it's paid out to the vet in less than 5 minutes for the vast majority of the time. So pet lovers love this. Pet owners can have the peace of mind that their pet's going to get the best care when unexpected things come up. Vets love them because they're already built out with the majority of them out there. They're the largest independent pet insurer. And of course, it's just a very, very profitable business that is kind of steady as she goes. This is a stock that has done phenomenally well over the past 5 years or so. This is a stock that's quadrupled, but it's still a $4 billion market cap. And when you're considering that they're less than 1% penetration of those 200 million domestic dogs and cats that are in North America, when you look at kind of the UK having 25% coverage of pets that actually have insurance over there, in places like Sweden up to 40%. I mean, North America is still kind of new to the concept of pet insurance, but it's a powerful one. It makes a lot of sense, just like any other insurance that you would have that would cover, really expensive damages or things that would happen for you. I think this is one that's catching on. I think that this is a company that's really leading this charge. They're the Cinderella story of the bracket. They were told early on that they couldn't do this, that they had to be a larger insurer to represent pets as part of a larger insurance umbrella. That certainly has not been the case. They've run a very, very profitable business. You've also, on top of all of those things, got a founder CEO that's still around after 20 years. I really like Trupanion. I think it's done a fantastic job as a business. I think it's got plenty of upside even from here.
Very cool. Very cool. Simon, love the pitch. Not something I'd heard about really even before you proposed it, but me and Evan were kind of chatting today and we said, it does make sense. It does make sense to have pet insurance. It feels like a very American thing. There's like a lot of like consumer discretionary, and you were mentioning that this is a North American company, right? You were mentioning that you asked me how many pets do I think that there even were, right? And I said like 50 million because I was just looking at it going, oh, okay, there's probably 150 to 200 million people who are like capable of having pets. And then out of those, right, maybe half of them don't want, and then whatever it is, maybe, and you were like, no, it's like 200 million plus. There is a market for this. So really took me by surprise. The name hasn't gotten a ton of recognition. How are they getting this name out there to like get more people to know about it? Because, right now I'll just talk to you, the poll doesn't have a ton of votes. It's 250 votes, leaning 75% towards LTHM, Livent versus Trupanion. So I'm curious how, they plan on getting more people to know about this.
Well, I think that's kind of one thing that's neat about this company too, is that every year you get a shareholder letter, right? Darryl Rawlings, CEO, the founder of this company, basically writes out this 30-page document of his strategy and what he's planning to do. He calls it his 60-month plan. It's the 5-year roadmap of where they're going. And it used to be just kind of a phone number you would call, right? If you go back several years, Trupanion was just something you kind of had to know about it. Maybe word of mouth kind of kicked in a little bit here and there. And then they built out this network with the vets, where if you go in and you've got a dog and you do a checkup for your dog, the vet might say, hey, by the way, have you heard about Trupanion? Pet insurance is really catching on. It costs this much per month. It might save you a lot of money if you have to have a surgery or something. So that's certainly good for them. But then the big thing that is part of that 5-year plan that I mentioned is the partnerships. They realize that, they can't do this by themselves. You sign a partnership with Chewy. It's got 20 million customers that are buying everything from collars to pet food out there on all points in between. And then also traditional insurers, that want to have an equity stake like Aflac does, or some kind of interest in Trupanion's success like State Farm does. I mean, this is kind of the way to expand their reach and do it in a way that is profitable for the business. One of the things that's been a critique of the company has been the rising acquisition cost, right? People were saying for a long time, oh, we don't like to see that acquisition cost, nudging up to $300 a pet, or anything like that. But when you're looking at a lifetime value of $700, it's okay for them to go and be a little bit more aggressive. It's okay to start doing some Google campaigns and doing some digital marketing, and starting to get a little bit more embedded with vets out there, getting a little bit things that are building their name. I love to see that wiggle room. I love to see them being more aggressive because it's still very profitable. The unit economics for me as an equity shareholder are still benefiting the shareholder value, the intrinsic value of the equity of this company. And I think that there's just a long roadmap that they've got in place. There's plenty of growth to be had out there, like you were saying. And when you've got superior unit economics, great visionary leader who's really dedicated to doing something right, and then just a long runway like we see with a company like this, I think it's kind of the 1-2-3 punch. Trupanion is a great equity buy and hold investment out there.
Great points all around. And then lastly, I'll ask you, how are you feeling in this poll right now? You know, down 75% to 25%. You know, it could certainly use a little bit of love. But overall, you know, how do you feel this matches up against LTHM?
I mean, Livent is a lithium provider, right? So you're paying 10 times sales for a company that basically hasn't moved its revenue in 3 years, right? You're kind of paying a $4 billion market cap for an unproven company that's got a lot of hype behind it. I'm certain that electric vehicles is bringing some valuation multiples higher because of the expectations for something like this. But like I said, revenue hasn't grown at all in 3 years. I actually looked at the gross profit. The gross profit was half of what it was 3 years ago. So you're buying into the hype cycle rather than a proven business. I think the bracket's got this one wrong, guys. I think that Trupanion is definitely the one that I put my real money on in this matchup.
Okay. Good stuff, Simon. Great having you on. Excited to have you as a part of this competition. I love the enthusiasm and the backing of your asset. We'll probably have Stock Talk Weekly on a little bit later to chat about the other side of this one, and we'll get into it. But enjoy the time with the family, and thank you for making the time for us.
Absolutely. Thanks very much for having me part of the competition, guys.
Our pleasure. Awesome. Let's keep it rolling. So I want to get into, first off, Chad, I know that yours went earlier in the week. I think you had Near, which was nearly lost. But I just want to see if there's anything you want to throw in here, and then I want to kind of roll into this premier matchup that we have both sides on here. All right. Hearing none from Chad. What's up, Dave? What'd you say?
I said Bueller.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, Fake, I think this is the perfect time. Let's go into this. We have both sides of Mara and Low on the space live. We've got time on this space too, so the floor is yours to make the case for Mara.
Yeah, so just like last time, I think I was on here last week to make the first pitch for it before it went live. Crypto miners, right? Excuse me. They're kind of a hot button stock right now, just with Bitcoin being in the news a lot with what's going on in Ukraine. Bitcoin's been in the narrative for a larger part of the last 2 years since I've been trading and being on FinTwit. This is a personal thing for me to have this stock on here. A lot of people were surprised that I chose it instead of something maybe a little bit more.
Were they?
I don't know. I mean, compared to stuff that's like
surprised.
more high profile that hadn't been picked yet. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the people who know me, like that know me, weren't surprised. But like in terms of like what I could have picked from like the available pool of stocks, then yeah, they were a little bit surprised. This was the first stock that I ever went long on. I'm still long on it. I got it when it was 97 cents, and I used to scalp this thing over $1.05 when it would just go up and down inside of this range all the time. It's not a small stock anymore. I think today it closed around like 28.6. It's maxed at like 83 a couple months back. This company's on pace to become the largest public miner of Bitcoin in 2022. Analysts have said that Bitcoin miners are actually potentially better than Bitcoin itself. They have a lot more of the actual miners themselves, which is what gives the stock its value, than really any of its peers. I think they have about 130,000 right now. I'm not entirely sure about how many are actually activated. That's always like the big differentiator. I think right now, the last I had checked, I don't know if Evan knows this, the news guy that's always up here, but I believe that they have 30,000 currently active. These machines are specifically designed for mining cryptocurrency. They're typically way more powerful than typical GPUs. In terms of the company, a lot of people estimate that Bitcoin's going to rise at a 32% compound annual growth rate through I think 2024. And that Mara's revenue will rise at 120%, respectively. So we'll have to see how this all pans out. The thing that I like about Mara is it's a very aggressive stock, and it runs with Bitcoin for the most part tandem, not entirely. There's days where it's heavily shorted. It's a favorite of shorts. But what I like about it is I like having plays that I'm long on, but I also don't like having plays that I'm long on that don't have a lot of movement to them. And Mara kind of breaks that traditional slow movement of, you know, stocks that you're, you know, maybe waiting 3 or 4 years out for, which is definitely the case for me with Mara. When Bitcoin has a really big day, typically Mara starts to really run in one direction. It can move as much as 10% when Bitcoin moves, say, you know, 2%, and, you know, respectively down as well. But I've always been a fan of this stock. I love this stock. I could keep talking, but I'm not going to take up any more mic time. So that's Mara.
Love it. Yeah, I like the all-around pitch. Certainly, there's a lot of volatility to trade here. For people that believe in crypto, this is a great way to get equity exposure to that crypto with, you know, a name that we've seen, you know, in the public for sure. When you come
Right.
to miners, this isn't something that's like a tiny, penny stock still trading. Although we did see it on the come up, which was pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not the only one too. I mean, obviously, like right now we're talking about Mara, but like there's a whole myriad of mining stocks out there that, you know, are better and worse than others. Just, you know, do some due diligence and find some that might be at a better entry price point if you think that $28 is too high.
Great points. So now let's talk about the matchup here versus, you know, it's an interesting matchup of a Bitcoin miner versus
Mhm.
Lowe's. Walk me through how you think about that.
I mean, obviously, like they're really far apart in terms of like what these stocks both are doing. I don't know if there's any news out there about Lowe's accepting Bitcoin in the future, but um, yeah, I mean they're just very different companies. I really don't know how to compare them.
It is. It's definitely an interesting one to start out with here. So let's talk about the poll. Right now, winning 59% to 41%. So what's the
Mhm.
strategy here?
I mean, I guess I'll just see where shit goes at this point. And this morning, I think I saw that Dividend Dollar and I are both, you know, putting tweets out, getting retweets from our peers, and uh, you know, it's any man's game at this point, I guess.
There you go. So let's get Dividend Dollar into here, and then we can maybe have a little bit more back and forth on this, and then we'll pop to Airbnb.
Sure.
So all right, man, you heard the side for Lowe's, for Mara. Make the case for Lowe's.
Yeah, no, thanks again for having me, and I totally agree. I mean, these are two completely different companies we're talking about here, so it's a interesting matchup. It's kind of your new age, I guess, type of company with Mara, and then you're more of your more traditional with Lowe's. And you know, many of you probably know Lowe's as the second largest home improvement company here in the U.S. They're coming off two awesome years. You know, the pandemic really fueled a lot of growth with folks staying home and thinking about more about home improvement projects that they kind of been holding off, haven't had time to. But with everyone kind of stuck at home, you know, people went gangbusters with home improvement, and now we're kind of getting a flood of folks that are moving more out of the city and out to more suburban type homes where they can do some more DIY projects. Housing still remains strong. You know, I work here in the real estate industry in Southern California, and things are just, you know, builders can't build things fast enough. So there's the pro side of things as well. But you know, over the past year, in terms of earnings per share, the company, you know, grew their EPS 35%. They had, you know, strong revenue growth, and they're just looking to continue on that here in 2022. A lot of new things that they have coming online for them is kind of have all been revamped with the arrival of, it's not, you know, a new arrival, but the CEO Marvin Ellison. You know, Lowe's went through a rough track record of CEOs that really, you know, kept the company behind, and Home Depot really widened that gap. They were the clear leader, but now Marvin Ellison comes. He's a has CEO experience, but he also had leadership position while at Home Depot. So he really knew what made Home Depot tick. You know, they're one of the most efficient companies when you look at, you know, different metrics, you know, whether it's the balance sheet or income statement. Home Depot really, you know, checks all the boxes, but now he's bringing that over to Lowe's. And, you know, the intriguing thing about Lowe's is, you know, they have that gap that can be, they can, it's so wide that now they're closing that gap. So that was kind of the intriguing part. Shares, were as high as, mid 280s. They've now kind of fallen off. So they're really trading at a very intriguing level right now. You're getting a forward price to earnings of below 15 times, and their 5-year average has been closer to 20 times. So, definitely trading at a discount. They're a solid dividend player that you can count on. I'm a dividend guy myself, obviously. The yield's nothing to write home about at 1.5%, but over the past 5 years, they've been increasing their dividend close to 20% per year, and they have increased their dividend for 58 consecutive years now. So just, a lot to like about Lowe's right now.
Very cool. So Lowe's, I like that you point out, second largest. That's after Home Depot, right?
Right.
And some great quarters, some movement here happening. I'm kind of curious. We look at Mara, which is this very like future forward company, right, with cryptocurrency and other stuff. Do you see Lowe's making any kind of waves towards the modernization aspects versus standing strong in the I don't know, the ways of old, but like the classic?
I think it's you kind of want to walk a fine line, but some of the things, I don't know if they're ever going to accept Bitcoin or anything, like I don't know if that's in the plans, but some of the intriguing things and some of the research that I have done more on Lowe's in the past is just some of the tweaks that this new CEO is making, with how things were delivered in the past. When you want to go online and order something from Home Depot or Lowe's, it would be based on what store. Does this store have any of that stuff? No. Okay, well, I got to go look at another store to see if they have it, and just to buy it online to be shipped to you. Well, they've kind of revamped that completely, where now it's a off-site thing, and it's going to help with online presence there. The other area where they're kind of modernizing is the margin expansion. They've revamped their stores completely, and they continue to do so to really try and focus more on that pro consumer. That's been a major focus for Home Depot over the years, and an area where they've just crushed it, and Lowe's has lagged. They've been, over the past year, they were at 25% of sales in terms of what the pro side of things accounted for total sales. And when you compare that to Home Depot had 45% here in 2021. So you can see how the gap is still wide, and there's a lot of progress to be made there. But the biggest area that Lowe's really took a step forward was in their margin expansion. That's been, just completely by revamping the stores, lessening the amount of SKUs and focusing on the most profitable items, keeping those most profitable items in areas of high traffic. And that is shown in the results with their margin expansion, which has increased by about 350 bips over the past 3 years, which is very solid. In 2021, they had operating income of nearly 12.6 compared to Home Depot's 11%.
Okay, very interesting. So we're looking at that, volatility versus stability, I think, in this case. And how do you feel about this matchup right now, which isn't, it's not that far apart right now? There's 516 votes, 59% from Mara, meaning, it's pulling slightly closer to 300 in this, I think, around there. So how do you feel about this matchup, and what might give Lowe's an edge here?
Well, we got a lot of work to do, but when I looked earlier, it was closer to a 70-30. So we've kind of we're making some headway there, but it's really just two completely different companies. It's your Bitcoin and crypto is kind of the more popular thing in the markets right now, and more talked about. So it's just really what you're looking for as an investor: more of that stability, or do you want that volatility that comes with with crypto and crypto mining and stuff like that, which we've seen with Mara. Over the past year, the shares are down 42%. So you're going to get a little bit more stability with Lowe's. So again, just really two completely different companies there.
Perfect. Okay, love that. Fake, any responses to the Lowe's pitch?
I think he said it perfectly. I liked the contrast he made between stability and volatility. I think that was spoken perfectly as well. I gotta give him his roses quick too. I don't know if you guys know any other dividend investors, but every dividend like FinTwit guy that I've met on here just crushes YouTube. And it looks like you do YouTube as well, bro. So I got to give kudos to you for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. No, like you said, the gaps being closed, it's kind of just based on, whatever it is that you want. I actually hadn't even thought until he brought it up that just like the kind of the how crypto's a little bit more of a hot topic right now in terms of retail investors and stuff like that. But no, I think that we both have a really good shot going into tomorrow.
Very cool. Anything else on that, Dividend Seeker?
No, I mean it's definitely intriguing. I'm just glad to be a part of it again, and hopefully I could have a decent run like I did with AbbVie last year.
Seriously, and how about that AbbVie run since?
How about that, huh? We should look at past returns by the Market Madness folks.
Yeah, a repeat Market Madness folk, which means we've known each other for over a year now. Great, growing here together with you, and really appreciate you making time for us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely. And to you guys, obviously welcome to stick around. If you want to pop in on some of these other conversations, we'd love to continue to have the analysis. But let's kick it over right now to TSDR covering Airbnb, which is in a tight matchup versus Facebook here. TSDR is backing Airbnb in that matchup. Facebook's winning 54 to 46%, 448 votes. Let's get into it, TSDR.
Awesome. Hey, first, Wolf, thanks for having me on. Thanks for doing this. This is my first time participating of one of 2 years. It's just a super cool thing that you got going on for people to get together and talk about some stocks that they like and just give a pitch. For those of you guys that know me, and also I hope you and Stock Market News are having fun and behaving out on the balcony.
We're chilling. We're 5.5 hours straight. We started the space at 2 p.m., so we figured we deserve a drink at this point.
I love it. And don't mind you'll probably hear my daughter in the background. I'm sitting here in the bathroom while she's taking a bath, or tubby as a 2-year-old calls it. So if those of you guys don't know me, I'm much more of a technicals guy. I look at the charts. I do primarily day trading. So my pitch for the financials or whatnot or growth prospects of Airbnb, wouldn't be coming from a place of superior knowledge. And even the technical perspective on it, in the short term, isn't for a trader's perspective isn't the greatest. But one great case that I can make for it is out of the past year and a half where IPOs have seriously struggled, with the majority of them not only underperforming the market but down from their IPO price significantly. Airbnb has held up above its IPO price. Which I really, like to see. So they're beating the competition of that. The battle between Airbnb and Facebook, Facebook is, on a multiple perspective, very cheap, comparison to its, FANG peers and a lot of the other powerhouse mega caps. Where Airbnb is, a pretty expensive stock in terms of multiples, trading around 15 or 16 times, revenue or sales. So it's the case, of a true, valid case, can't be made there that you're getting better value with Airbnb versus Facebook. However, as a young investor and a young trader, the things that I look for in companies, just kind of like how Fake was describing about Mara, versus Lowe's, it's these exciting industries, these exciting businesses, and these disrupting businesses. And Airbnb is absolutely that. One could argue that Facebook is too, transitioning into a lot of, the metaverse thing. But Airbnb is one of those companies that, I describe it like fintech and like Uber, where they're, building a service where they don't own any infrastructure. It's a hotel company that doesn't own any hotels, right? Uber is a taxi company that doesn't own any taxis. Fintech companies are financial institutions that don't own any brick and mortar banks. And to me, that is the kind of, as a up and coming wannabe entrepreneur, whatever, what have you. These are the kind of things and the kind of ideas that drive innovation and improve, the world around you for the consumer. And Airbnb is, in my opinion, doing a phenomenal job of that. the amount of people that I talk to that I wouldn't expect to want to host their properties on Airbnb are improving dramatically. My father, a boomer of all boomers, is going to start putting our family cabin on Airbnb, to make a few bucks in retirement, to maybe pay for a vacation elsewhere where he would then, use an Airbnb in Europe or, Florida, what have you. The comfort and the luxury of using someone else's property versus a hotel, in my opinion, is unmatched. Because when I go looking at when I travel, when I go looking for something, I'm not going to look for a hotel. I want to look for an Airbnb in the heart of the town or the area that I want to explore versus a major city type tourist destination where there's hotels and gas station, airport nearby. I don't know, Airbnb is just a really awesome, innovative company, just disrupting the entire travel industry and hotel industry. And I think it's got a great life ahead of them if they can continue to execute. And they could steal a lot of market share from some of these powerhouse hotel industry businesses.
Yeah, man, Airbnb is such a cool product, and having now spent and used the product for a while, I'm at an Airbnb right now, in fact, I just seriously can vouch for it. I think that the user experience is seamless. The app is fantastic. There's so much built in. I think it's got a great reputation. You got Brian Chesky right there, a great CEO. And if you look at the background of how this company got started, it didn't just take off, right? They had to pitch and pitch and pitch. And then they had all these Airbnb set up, and they realized, why aren't people getting bookings? Oh, they don't have good looking pictures. And they sent professional photographers to people's houses to take pictures of their Airbnbs to upload. Then people were like, we want to have good Wi-Fi. So they added a Wi-Fi speed test into the app that people can upload. And now there's all these amenities, right? And all these different ideas. And I'm bouncing around a lot of Airbnbs this year. And I tried some other services, Vrbo, Bookings, others, and they're just not the same. And you can find great pricing. You can find great people. So I completely agree with you. There's a lot going for Airbnb. Right now, the boomers seem to be taking it with Facebook. So walk me through a little bit of your thought pattern right now. How does Airbnb kind of make up the gap here?
It's just by popularity. We'll have to get the word out on Twitter more. Try to get more eyes to it. I think if we can get the engagement onto the poll, I think Airbnb will take it. As you were saying though, about Airbnb, like this is like a true story for anyone listening that is an aspiring entrepreneur. Like the story of the CEO and the founders of the company, like they seriously just took an idea and completely transformed it and executed into Airbnb what it is today, valued at over $100 billion. So that story is just absolutely phenomenal for anyone, sitting in their basement or sitting in their room, sitting at their computer, thinking of, something. How can I do this? How can I start this? How can I become an entrepreneur? And this is someone who just had a great idea and executed it, and is continuing to execute it in a very solid way. And you could say the same thing too about Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg in his dorm, but we've all seen the social network. It was the Winklevoss's twins idea. He just took it from them and had the tech, the coding knowledge to be able to put it into an actual website. But for battling CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg loses. He's a pretty odd fellow, and Facebook's multiple is lower for a reason, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think these are definitely some great points. Tommy, I'd love for you to weigh in on this Airbnb versus Facebook matchup and get your thoughts.
Yeah, well, first off, fuck the Winklevosses. They're like a bunch of clowns as far as I'm concerned. And if you're gonna start throwing shade at the Zuckmeister, he's the most innovative CEO of any of these FANG tech companies, willing to pivot into the metaverse, well ahead of everybody else. I have nothing but love for Zuck and fucking Winklevoss, dude. They're a bunch of fucking Greenwich, Connecticut hedge fund babies. Like I have nothing but disdain for their whole shtick. And I got a lot of love for what Airbnb is doing. With that being said, like I'm pretty surprised. I'm not, I guess, that surprised by having it a close poll. It's definitely, I think, one of the more interesting matchups we have going right now. Yeah, I should be curious to see, what some other of the speakers think about, this particular matchup, and then what else they got going. Come on,
Side
Winklevoss,
note,
dude?
I do
The
agree
Winklevoss?
with what you said. I do agree with what you said about the Winklevosses. I do. But I've also got serious execution concerns about the metaverse. If I were an investor, which I am indirectly through some index funds, I'm concerned about the future spending and the time it's going to take to actually see some actual results from a financial perspective with metaverse spending that's going to occur over the next decade. To me, that is a massive risk, and it's very concerning.
Fortune favors the bold, With no risk, there's
You're
no
not wrong.
reward.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Okay, Matt Damon. All right, so Peter Tuffman just texted me that he's going to come into here also, but we have stock market news here as well to chat a little bit about Facebook on that side of things. So stock market news, all you.
Yeah, so actually, I'm on the ARC Daily account, so we're on this phone. But I did not prepare anything for Facebook, but there is not too much here. But I think that what a lot of people are getting at here, first of all, is the a stock that's mega cap company that's been struggling recently. But I also think the metaverse play, especially with them changing their name to Meta Platforms, is something a lot of people have been grabbing onto as what they want for the future. Facebook has kind of become it is a value company at this point, and it probably should be valued there based on everything we've seen. But there's a lot of people who like the future of it for that metaverse play in it. So I think that there are a lot of people, and the reason it would probably get the poll, let me actually go in and check. Was the poll, was it Facebook or was it Meta Platforms on the poll?
It was FB, and then it said Meta Platforms next to it.
Because, I really think as small of a nuance as that is, a lot more people will hit Meta Platforms than Facebook. I think there are a significant amount of people who just absolutely hate Facebook and won't touch anything with that. Once you start getting yourself away from it, it will be very slowly. It will take a long time. And you actually do have to believe in the metaverse pivot, which I do get. Everyone does. You don't have to. Everyone doesn't. But I just think the crowd of people that are getting around this stock is starting to change. And it's weird because the stock itself went from a growth stock to a value stock. But the kind of people who are getting excited about it now are changing to go further down the risk curve to the Web3 side of it. So I'll say it one more time. First of all, Instagram, everyone just comes in and says Facebook, forgets that they own Instagram. And I bet you half the people in this crowd are just addicted to that. That and TikTok, but and also Instagram Reels is just TikTok reused. So shout out to that. But they just own so much. WhatsApp is something that's not even monetized as well. And if you are not from the US, there is a great chance that you use WhatsApp on a daily basis. Even if you are in the US, you might. There's just so much going on at this company. And I think that a lot of people hate it because it's Facebook. But, the Instagram, the WhatsApp, the Meta Platforms, there's so much there underneath that has the chance to get away from it. I think that everyone just also hates Overlord Zuckerberg, but that's a story for another day. But I think that the mega cap aspect of this will drive a lot of people to it, and the metaverse angle to it will drive a lot of people as well. So that's kind of the pitch for it. Wasn't really prepared, so it could have been better, but here we are.
I thought it was pretty good. Definitely some interesting thoughts there on the Facebook versus the Meta side. But yeah, TSDR, I'll see. Any other thoughts on the matchup? Any other thoughts on Airbnb you'd like to share?
No, that's all I've got right now. Like I said, I have serious concerns about the execution of the metaverse spending that's going to occur through the Facebook company, Meta Platforms for the next decade. I know fortune does favor the bold, but yeah, I have serious
Yeah.
I have serious concerns about the cost that it will take and the return that it will bring.
Fortune, I will say in here, Fortune definitely does favor the bold, but it also does forget about a lot of the other large percentage of people that tried the same thing and failed. So you got to think big to do big, but when you think big, you're also probably, the chances of you failing are definitely very elevated. So the meta platforms, the metaverse is not something that's here tomorrow. They're in the early investing stages of it. And I think there are a lot of risks there, as TSDR was just saying. It's just the other side of it. When there's increased risk, there's increased reward. And yeah, it's just a different type of investor. But it's such a weird dynamic for me, Facebook, because of like there is the Facebook itself platform and Instagram that are kind of maturing and bringing in a different investor, and then the growth aspects of it are kind of a completely different person. I think that honestly might be part of the problem with Facebook, is that just there's few people who will get around the entire company. There's a piece of it that they like. So I don't know. I don't know if there's something in that, but I should have just stopped talking because I was back in Facebook for a little bit. I think I went a little downhill. Vote for Facebook. Love you, TSDR, though.
All right, fascinating. Okay, so we made it through all the initial matchups. I have a couple people that actually sent me. Great job, Stock Market News. Great pitch on Facebook there. Arc Daily. What? Oh, we have to get into the Arc for Sark. Okay, so we're going to get into that in just a second. We're going to do Arc for Sark. Gergavin is backing Sark. He's not here yet. If anyone wants to tweet at him, maybe we can get him on here. But before we do that, I just want to take 2 moments to, one, big shout out to our sponsor for this, StockTwits. They're up here. Tommy's on the account. He's super engaged. If anybody hasn't already checked out StockTwits, I feel like you've probably all heard the name, but if you haven't really learned what it is, there is an app. There's a whole platform behind it. They don't just have 1 million followers and a verified account on here. And this app is an incredible place to, 1, build your financial brands, right? Go there, network. 2, do your research. Find trending tickers, trending stocks, know what people are talking about. Find data, quick, timely data. And then number 3, trade your crypto, and soon also trade stocks. It is really an all-in-one platform. Great team, great CEO. We love chatting with them. We're huge, grateful StockTwits they've put up. We have a $10,000 grand prize for the highest scoring bracket in this tournament. I'm so excited to see how it plays out. We're only in week 1, round 1, 64, and we have so many upsets already. We have back and forth. There's been so much going on. Tommy, anything you want to add on to that?
Hey, StockTwits is fun. If you want to come on the platform, spend a few minutes a day checking out the streams, checking out what's trending. I guarantee you'll enjoy the time well spent. So just check it out, and big shout out to you, Wolf, for putting these on. And much love to our speakers for coming out tonight. It's been fun chatting with y'all.
Absolutely. And then in addition with that, we have 2 incredible co-hosts, Bullish Rippers, which is run by Stock Market News as well as the Pounding the Table team. They did our space last night. They're going to do our space tomorrow, so you can catch them on either one. But for now, I think it's time to hop into this ARKK versus SARK matchup. Maybe I'll have to play devil's advocates for SARK. As for ARKK, Arc Daily, are you ready to pitch some ARKK to us and why it can make a comeback in this matchup?
Yes, sir. I am ready for it. So, first off, if any of you guys don't know, I am Stock Market News. I run both accounts. Actually, run Bullish Rippers as well. Besides the point, so why should you vote ARK over SARK? My first thesis in there is ARK is a bet in innovation. I don't know if you want to go back to the caveman age, but if you do, you can vote SARK. In all seriousness, though, I know a lot of people like the idea of investing in innovation. Their real troubles are with Cathie Wood and her style. There are a lot of points that I'm not going to come in here and defend because it's difficult. But what I will say is when you're investing in her type of style, shooting for those 10Xs, you can be wrong 90% of the time and still make money. You can be wrong 80% of the time and make a lot of money. And I think it gets lost a lot when we're looking day to day. She's not out here looking to invest in Apple and whatever it is, which would be safer, give her lower returns, and probably would get a lot of people off her back. But that's just not the style they're going for. And I think that when I look at what am I comparing ARK's returns to, investing in innovation is a great concept. And my thought process is it better to have your money with Cathie Wood or another one of these investors who are doing this type of thing. Or do you want to, you're Timmy, 11 years old, in your basement, just randomly picking these growth stocks? It's really difficult. There's a lot of information that goes behind it. And I'm not necessarily saying go buy RK the second, but investing in innovation is, for young people who have a lot of time in the market, to me, that's exciting. To me, that's the type of thing that I look forward to is, I'm not out here, I'm trying to grow the wealth. And, I have a long time horizon and I'm okay to wait. And I think that the biggest thing that I want to stress in it is like, you can hate Cathie Wood, you can do whatever, but one move on one day is never going to be the full picture. It's a going in and out process, and like the Palantir move, weird. I don't get it. There's certain things I do not get, but I think it comes back to it. She does not have to be right 60% of the time, 40% of the time, 25% of the time. If you are right investing for 10x's every single time and you keep some sort of risk level, risk mitigation, you can be right 5, 10, 15% of the time and really extend that stuff. And a lot of people point to Tesla being the right stock and a lot of stuff around it. And like, there's so many different things there, but at the end of the day, I want to invest in innovation. And I'm not going to sit here and say Cathie Wood is the only way to do that, but I do think going through a professional manager as opposed to being an 18-year-old investing for the first time, trying to pick that one or two stocks in there, I will say that going into these innovation funds is the way to go. And there are other ones. There's one or two in there, but for me in my position, being a young investor with long time horizon, I want to invest in innovation. And I think that for the average person, you are much better off going with someone who's professionally doing it as opposed to trying to do it in your basement. I'm just picturing a 17-year-old picking individual stocks in his basement. That is what's in my head, and it's a lot of the people in here. And first of all, the fact that they're even doing the stocks and looking at it, they're probably going to be successful in the long term. But I feel like you investing in these stocks, you're just going to look back on it in 2 years, and you're going to have none of the money from it, but you're going to have a lot of lessons. So if you want to save some of that money potentially, obviously over the last year it's been rough for that. But yeah, I think that was a decent point on that. And I also think the point of it, I just want to throw this out there one more time. I know I'm going to bet that people love Tesla more than they hate Cathie Wood. And just remember, a vote for Sark is a vote for short Tesla. So anybody that voted for Sark, you are voting for short Tesla. Just want to throw that out there.
So we have seen the Tesla piece kind of affecting it. Now, I just want to bring return into this. Sark, since inception, which happened on,
we don't need to go
timing,
there.
Which was on November 9th. Since inception, it's up 53%. It maxed out on March 14th at up over 100% since inception. I think that's what's drawing people to it, is not just the difference in style, but also the returns. So are you kind of expecting that this, bear market-ish area that we've been in is coming to a close? Do you think we're going to move more into a place? Oh, I saw Peter left. Let's get Peter back on. Hopefully we get it back in. Moving to a place where like it's changing up. How do you see the returns factoring into this?
Yeah, next time Peter comes up, we'll just cut this off and we can go right to him. Definitely love hearing Peter speak. And at the end of the day, this is a social sentiment tournament. I think price movement is number one. That's going to determine who the winner is, what stock is ripping at the right time. And, if we would have done this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, there would have been no shot for ARK. It was a rough time, and we're still in that rough time, but this last week has taken some of the pressure off for it. And, maybe we're in a moment in time. I am certainly far from the person who's ever going to give you short-term predictions on what's going to happen in the market. It's definitely not anything I am good at, but for this tournament, if ARK wants to win, it does have to win. That's just kind of my opinion on it. And, what I will say, though, is just for the person who's looking at buying the stock at 130 versus 74, the risk-reward profile is a very, very, very different at this point. You look back to where we were at in early 2021 and 2020, and there was a bunch of ridiculousness. You look back on it as craziness. And, you could go in and say, Cathie Wood, why are you even holding these stocks? What are we doing? My thought process on it was that was the market. That was the way to make money. I wish Cathie would have pulled back a little bit at the right time, but we didn't. Here we are. So first of all, just to summarize, social sentiment, I think, is driven by how the price has moved over the last 5 days, we'll say. And maybe that gives ARK a chance. I know the people who hate Kathy Wood is very, very strong. And you know, I don't fully understand it. I do get she makes big, bold claims that people don't necessarily love, but there's a lot of people who do that. There's a lot of people who their entire job, you know, Gordon Johnson, short Tesla. Who even knows at this point if he actually doesn't like Tesla? His whole brand is built about being short Tesla. So there's just a lot of things going out there, and Kathy would make some crazy statements. We'll never see oil over $100. Like, why even make that statement? There's a lot of stuff I question there. Don't get me wrong. I just keep going back to that point that, like, we are investing in innovation. The goal is to hit 15 to 20% of our trades over time, of her trades over time. She can do that. And if you don't think Kathy can do that, I do believe there are other innovation funds out there that you could go and look at. Don't quote me on this one. I believe there's one called like Moon or like Moonshot ETF was one of them, but I'm sure this is an area a lot of people are going into. And, you know, at the end of the day, this is also meant to be a piece of your portfolio. If you're going in 100% RK, you see what the drawbacks of that are. But for a 22-year-old who wants to have 10% of their portfolio in innovation and don't know what stocks to pick, I honestly, and people may give me hate for this, if this was my friend, I would be comfortable telling them to invest in RK or ARKF or one of the other ARK funds. Don't throw all your money in there. Don't expect whatever, but like, if you want to invest in innovation with high risk, high reward, I would feel comfortable telling a friend.
This is a top signal, as they say. Okay.
Or a bottom signal. You never know. Maybe I'm so bad that like the top signals are bottoms.
It's the reverse psychology. Love to see it. Okay.
Can I
Very,
just do
very
one more
cool.
quick shout out?
Oh, yeah.
For
absolutely.
anyone else here, I just want to reemphasize the short Tesla point. I pinned the poll up above. You should go in and vote on it right now. It definitely has the most votes on it so far today. So definitely go in and check it out. Just one more time. A vote for Sark is a vote for short Tesla. Never forget that. A vote for Sark is a vote for short Tesla. Are you a short Tesla guy? I mean, some of you might actually like that, but hey.
That is a great campaign slogan. I have to give it
A
to
vote
you.
for Sark is a vote for short Tesla. I like it. Think it needs one more time in there. A vote for Sark is a vote for short
There
Tesla.
you go.
Anyone else want
There
to go
you
up there and vote on the
I
poll?
mean, that was a wonderful pitch, but ARKK is going to lose the vote. Sark will win the vote. Gurgavin will make sure that Sark wins.
It's been slowly coming back during Evan's speech. I think he's rallying the troops.
Rally behind. Remember, a vote for Sark is a
right.
vote for short Tesla.
You can't say a campaign slogan 4 times in a row. That's when it
You
becomes.
can, dude. A vote for Sark is a vote for short Tesla. Remember that.
Stop. I also have heard it 8 times because I'm hearing him say it in the other room, and then I'm hearing it on Spaces. So I've been pelted with this now. Okay, so that's a really interesting matchup there. If Gurgavin does come in, we'll have him make the other side for Sark. It's a super interesting one. You know, we've had Tuttle Capital actually come on Spaces and talk about this short ARK innovation ETF, right? SARK. They're basically just doing the opposite again. They had just the perfect timing for when they made this thing. If they had made it a couple months earlier, they would not have the return that they have at this point. So it's really interesting what they're doing there, and it's nice that they're being transparent. If Kathy Woods would like to come on Spaces, I'd be happy to have her. But I see a hand up. What's up, ARK Invest?
Yeah, I just want to jump in. There does tend to be like a negative connotation towards short sellers. I just wanted to point out and say, like, I think the ETF that Tuttle Capital made makes a lot of sense for where the market was at, and like there is no disrespect or anything toward them. To me, it's just a way to trade, and it makes sense. So, you know, for every high-flying ETF or whatever it is, if there was an inverse of it, okay, fine. I mean, maybe you could just go short it. What's the real difference? Smart people can go in there and tell you that, but for me, as someone who, I'm not a Kathy Kool-Aid person, but I'm on the side of it. You just heard me pitch it. I have nothing but respect for Tuttle Capital and what they've created. And I think it made a lot of sense at the time. And they definitely chose the right time to do it because it led to a great start to their ETF. So just want to get that out there.
Perfect. Okay, so for anyone that's joined us a little bit late and has no idea what we're talking about, right now, together with StockTwits and Bullish Rippers and Pounding the Table, Stock Market News, we've been running a giant spin-off of the classic March Madness tournament. Typically, people look at 64 college basketball teams and they pick them in a head-to-head bracket series until there's a final winner. in this case, we replaced all those college basketball teams with stocks, ETFs, cryptos, and NFTs. We made a 64 asset bracket. And then we found the way that we picked them all was we found backers for each one. So people came out and picked, like TSDR was on here and he picked Airbnb, ARKK, obviously, ARK Invest picked ARKK, and there's backers for the other sides. And we tried to get as many people on the spaces to make the case. They're all live polling right now. It's all in my pinned tweet. You can go and check. We get tons of votes coming in throughout the day and the night. We've had thousands and thousands of votes on these polls. We've had up to 6,000 plus on a lot of these polls. You can go in today and see there's hundreds to thousands of votes on some of the ones right now. The ARKK versus SARK one is the one that's over 1,000 right now, so something to look at there. But it's been so cool having people come on and kind of make these cases because it's all a popularity contest, right? The way that things move on to the next round in this is they simply win their poll. That's it. And then they move on, and then the highest scoring bracket, so people filled out brackets, and we had a good amount of people that filled out brackets, really nice amount. So it was really cool to see that data and that sample size. Those brackets are scored based on how they picked, and there's a $10,000 grand prize right now in the running for the highest scoring bracket. And definitely stay tuned because we can say for sure there are more prizes coming for those who have not participated yet. Very much stay tuned for this coming week. But now we're just kind of making our way each day through these. So we've already done 3 days. This is the 4th day, and then tomorrow will be the 5th to get through all the round of 64 before we move on to the round of 32. And then, of course, Sweet 16 and on. So we got a couple more people up here tonight. I saw Stock Sniper came up, and I just wanted to say hi to you. I did invite you up. I've seen you in a couple spaces. And I wanted to see if you had just any thoughts on kind of what you're hearing, if you wanted to weigh in at all, throw anything out there.
What's up, man? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Yeah, so I've actually joined, I like to join around in a couple of spaces, but I've joined your spaces a couple of times actually. And I just like hearing all the genuineness behind the stuff that you guys do. And it kind of makes me happy to see that FinTwit has people out there that are really providing legitimate services, considering the let's say the fake accounts out there and all the different scams kind of going on. But just seeing this, the genuineness behind this, that's really what kind of got me to join here tonight. And you invited me to speak, so of course I wouldn't say no.
I appreciate that. We definitely have a good time on spaces. We try to keep it chill, try to keep it fun. I mean, this space has actually been open for 6 hours straight. I opened this space at 2 p.m. EST and literally haven't closed it. We've covered live trading. We did a 2 p.m. Pseudo power hour where we did charting and technical analysis. We did a 3 p.m. where we did crypto with FTX, and we had Ramp Capital on to chat about FinTwit. We did a 4 p.m. where we did an NFT one for an hour. We did a 5:30 p.m. on real estate, and then we rolled right into this one at 7, and then we have another one at 8:30. I'm just keeping this space open all day, so definitely appreciate you coming up and weighing in. Any thoughts on any of the polls right now that are running, or any of the names stick out to you?
I took a look at the polls right here when we're comparing SPY with, I looked at them when I first joined the space. You're talking about the StockTwits page? Sorry?
So it's actually on my pinned tweet is where all the polls are.
Yeah.
So, yep, if anybody just clicks into that and then just scrolls down, they'll see all the pinned tweets with all the data.
Yeah, I had a hard time figuring out where to navigate to find that real quick. But I already did see that. Yeah, I did pick the ones that I do like better there. When I do look at that, like comparing Marathon with Lowe's, I personally like Marathon because of like the price action and the volatility behind that. I'm personally an option trader, and Marathon has a pretty cool options chain. And that also goes with SPY compared to QYLD. Why I prefer SPY over QYLD. And I went with ARK because I used to like playing ARK actually quite a lot about a year ago. On that nice run up to 140, I want to say, or 150.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you voting, first off. Thank you to everyone who votes and participates. It's really nice of y'all. And again, thank you for coming up. And feel free to hang for a little bit. We're going to be running this one for about 30 more minutes. And I see we have our guest of honor, Mr. Peter Tuffman. How are you doing today?
What's up, guys? It's really fascinating. Thanks for having me, Wolf. I don't